right to the meat and potatoes here of the meeting. We've got a fantastic guest speaker here, Glen Shelton.
Yeah,
Tony, you want to do the honors?
you talk about Thunderbolt Energy. I really love working with Glenn. I remember Glenn back in the good old days. John Gordine actually introduced me to him. I think going back to 2015 when he first got started. And I want to tell Glenn we appreciate him being on this call. He's on West Coast time out in Portland, Oregon. I think he's from Portland, correct, Michael? Portland.
Uh, I don't know. Glen, are you from Portland?
I'm technically on the coast, so I'm about 90 minutes west, but Portland's the closest major city, so
Okay,
you weren't far off there, Tony.
All right, when I'm back out there, as you know, I got business interests out there
Yeah,
in Portland, Beaverton. We got to get together, okay, my friend?
absolutely.
Let me do the proper introduction. Glenn began his company, Lead Heroes, back in 2015. And that's, like I said, when I met him with John Gordine, when he was just a young buck getting started in the business. He realized there had to be a better way to get affordable and exclusive insurance leads. Many of us have been in the field knocking on doors or in the call centers. You know, leads are important, especially get started in the first 90 days. As an independent agent, he tried all types of lead sources from live telemarketers, avatars, voicemail, internet, and more. He discovered that the leads with the highest return on his investment were the live telemarketing leads. I think we've all worked those and loved those. To me, I loved any lead. I didn't care what the lead was. It could have been a phone book. It didn't matter to me. But, you know, we know that having telemarketing leads is critical to any organization. So he launched Lead Heroes with an affordable commitment to provide exclusive telemarketing insurance leads developed by real human beings, sales professionals, and a fully managed call center. He operated Lead Heroes entirely on his own, hiring, firing, training, and managing his team of remote telemarketers to consistently generate quality leads. Many of you guys on this call I know have used him. This approach produced significant savings on operational costs, which he passed along to the agents. So, you know, so they pay like 30% or to 70% less than they hired an American-based call center. In 2021, he made a big leap, started another company. He expanded to offer virtual assistants, the affordable and compliant outsourcing solution to all their back office needs. He created a company called Hire Heroes. It's the premier virtual assistant brand in the independent insurance agent and agency market. This is sure to explode your business, I believe, as we talked about this on many, many calls. We have way too many agency directors that are trying to be a one man, one woman shop. You can't do it all. You gotta have people to help you with the back office stuff. You gotta have someone to help screen your recruiting calls. You gotta have somebody to help you set up your events, someone that set up your meeting, someone to help with your paperwork, so help with putting in your sales. You shouldn't be doing that. If you're a GA, MG, SJ, FMO, whatever your acronym is in terms of your level in this industry, you need to have a back office. You need to have people. You can't do it all on your own. You need to be focused, as I said before, you need to be focused on the $10,000 an hour work, which is doing recruiting events. That's $10,000 an hour work, not $25 an hour work, which is back office stuff. And today, Glen Shelton's going to show you how to do that. He's got an amazing opportunity to share. So if you guys are ready to get rolling, let's kick it off with the Glen Shelton, founder of Hire Heroes. Let's give it up. Let's do it, Michael. Got a little clip before he'll speak to you guys.
Glen, I'm going to cut this one a little short. I don't want to go too far into it, so I'll play the first little bit, and then we'll.
I might not have to say anything by the end of this, you guys. That's how great this introduction is.
Now we've been offering full-blown virtual assistant staffing services beyond anything that's call center related at Lead Heroes. In 2021, we took what we had already been doing with Lead Heroes, acquiring a vetted and trained virtual assistant, and essentially started asking you guys as either an independent agent or as an agency owner, hey, what other tasks besides maybe phone related work could this virtual assistant help you with?
Yeah, I'll cut it right there. I'll cut it right there. That's perfect. Glen, I will I'll pass the mic over to you, my friend.
Fantastic.
Woohoo!
Again, I appreciate the very warm introduction, Tony, Michael. Really love the opportunity to get on and kind of speak to you guys about these things. A lot of what Tony touched on right there is near and dear to my heart as someone who was a solo producing agent for many years. You know, I know exactly what you guys went through because I went through it myself. So I know how difficult it can be trying to do everything on your own. So I'm going to share my screen here. I have a presentation that goes through, you know, the goal with this presentation, if you're looking for help, if you're looking at how can I bring someone into my business, into my agency to really help eliminate some of these tasks that are bogging down your day to day. I'm going to try to kind of go through it, give you some of the math behind it so you can, again, kind of wrap your head around what the cost is around your time specifically, because that's one of the key variables that a lot of you guys aren't seeing, aren't thinking about at all. So see if I can share my screen here. You guys able to see that?
Yep.
Wonderful. So this number you're seeing on the screen here, the 7-figure number here, this is our number one expense from last year. So you guys can probably guess what this is going to be, but I'll get into it in just a minute. But you know, we Q1 of this year, we're going through our books from 2024. We're getting ready to file our taxes, and I went through and I was looking at some of our biggest expenses, and this was the number one expense of everything that we spent. So I wanted to put that number in front of you guys so you understood, you know, again, I kind of put my money where my mouth is. I want you guys to know exactly what we're doing at Lead Heroes, Hire Heroes. And I'll get into a little bit more about my background as well. So, you know, $2.1 million. If I were to give you $2.1 million, what would you do with that money, right? I mean, there's so many things you could potentially do. You could go out and buy a brand new office building. You could buy several books of business, right? And quickly grow your book. You could buy, you know, vehicles for fun. You could do all sorts of stuff, right? I mean, that's a lot of money. So Christian Brindle, he is my business partner in Lead Heroes and Hire Heroes. So, you know, Christian and I, what did we spend this 2.1 million on in 2024? Well, as some of you may have already guessed, this was our people cost. This was our staff costs, our virtual assistants, our employees. You know, we have over 300 employees worldwide. Some of them are here stateside. The vast majority are based out of the Philippines. So, you know, that's for a lot of people, they might look at that like that's an incredible amount of money. You know, how can you spend less? I have kind of this opposite mindset of how can I spend more on my staff, on my people? How can I get more people in on what I'm doing and have more people helping me grow the business? Because there's a direct relationship between that 2.1 million and my gross revenue as a business owner. And I'm telling you right now, I believe this to be true for almost everyone. Obviously, there's probably some exceptions out there where if you're not managing it properly, you could ultimately spend a lot of money on payroll and not see the gross revenue go up. But if you're properly managing your business, your agency, there should be a direct correlation where the payroll costs go up, your gross revenue goes up right with it. So I'm a huge believer in this. So how I got started. So I was a final expense agent for many years. I got licensed originally in 2013. So from about 2013 to 2016, I spent 3 years selling final expense. And I was just starting to get into some of on the health side, the Medicare side, when I was getting so frustrated with my day-to-day, my week-to-week. I was spending easily half my week on the phone doing admin tasks. That was the feeling I got is, you know, I'd have probably a day and a half of office work where I'm setting appointments, I'm returning phone calls, I'm calling carriers. They're trying to figure out what's going on with different applications. So, anywhere from 15 to 20 hours a week of my own time I was spending on non-revenue generating tasks. These are still important tasks. Managing my calendar, calling carriers, like these are things that they have to happen, but I don't have to be the one to do them. So I got to the point where I knew there had to be a better way, and that's when I looked to hire my first assistant. So, officially 10 years ago this year, I hired my first part-time assistant for 20 hours a week. And some of the inspiration that I got when I first got started, if you guys are looking for more information, if you've got any bookworms in here, the 4-hour work week was a huge inspiration to me. Tim Ferriss talks about this same concept. This book is relatively old. I want to say it was published like 2007. So some of the information is a little outdated, but the principles are still very sound. And a lot of my inspiration came from this book. So if you guys are looking for more information surrounding this topic, I highly recommend the 4-hour work week. So I already mentioned this. So between all of our companies, we have more than 300 people employed all over the world. So why you should consider hiring more people, saving your time. So, I'm going to get into in just a moment here, I'm going to get into the value of your time, the actual math behind what your time is worth. And a lot of agents that I work with and that I have worked with over the years, they have this mindset of, if something needs to get done, I'll just do it. Or maybe even I can't trust someone else to do it. You need to understand that when you're doing something in your business, you have a limited amount of time. We all do. We all get the same 24 hours in a day. So you even if it's a small task, even if it's a short task, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, it starts to add up over time. If you're doing a repetitive task of 15 minutes a day, it might not sound like much. I can just do this really fast, no big deal. All of a sudden, though, at the end of the month, you're talking about several hours that you lost on something that could have easily been not on your plate. And we'll get into kind of that process here in a minute. So saving your time, super important. Reducing your stress. If you're trying to spin 100 plates at once, that can be very stressful. And like I mentioned before, help you grow faster, right? Some people think if I'm spending money on payroll, on employees, that's going out the door in the same way that you buy lunch and you never get that money back. I've always looked at it from the standpoint of ROI, of my return on investment. And that's the correct way of really looking at this. So how much is your time worth? So again, these are some round numbers to give you somewhere to start if you're not sure how to calculate, or if you haven't gone through this exercise before. Some of you may have already done this, but let's say you're making $100,000 a year, and let's say you're working an average of 40 hours per week. This equates your time to roughly $50 per hour. So yes, you might be having expenses coming out of this. So this would be like your gross hourly revenue before expenses. And if you're making $1 million a year, your time goes up tenfold, just like your gross revenue. So now you're making roughly $500 of gross revenue per hour that you are working. Same time, right? We all have that same work week that we're all working the same number of hours, right? So when you're doing a task, this is the mindset you have to have when you're doing a task. If it's something really simple, like let's say you're editing a spreadsheet. The other day I had to edit some calling scripts for my team, and it was a relatively simple task. I'm going through it. It's taken me about 10 to 15 minutes to edit this call script, and I've got to go through probably a dozen of them. And after I did 2 of them, I was super frustrated. This was literally this year, you guys. I'm super frustrated. I'm going through 2 of these call scripts, and I'm like, if I keep going, I'm gonna burn 3 hours of my time. Like, I could easily delegate this to someone else. And if I'm paying someone $10 an hour, $15 an hour, right? Like whatever that hourly cost is, that's going to be significantly less than what my hourly cost is, what my time's worth. So again, that's the immediate ROI there. Freeing up my time, delegating a repetitive task, something that's not actually generating immediate revenue, something that can easily be delegated. So anything, I think that $50 per hour number, even if you're a newer agent, that is a great number to latch on to. And if you feel like you can get something done for less than that, you should probably consider delegating it or handing it off. Now, some of you might be wondering, where your time's actually going. And again, I myself found myself in this situation many times where I feel like I don't have any time in my day, in my week. I don't understand how I can possibly do anything else. I don't understand how I can grow my business, grow my agency, because my time is so little. I have no time. So, the first thing you need to do is really do an accounting of your work week, of your work month. Start to track, if you're not already. You can start to figure out, you can just keep a kind of a rough schedule for the day. At one point, I had a timer on my desk because I was really wanting to try to understand where I was spending all my time down to the minute. There's not one way of doing this. There's many ways you can do this, but you really need to have a true accounting of your time, because then you can look back and really understand, what am I doing? Where in my time am I actually spending it in the best way that helps the company, the agency grow? What is it? What are the tasks that only I truly can do? And what are the tasks for my work week, for my work month, that other people could have possibly done and freed up my time? And then I could have spent that time somewhere else doing hopefully a higher revenue generating activity. So once you've done this accounting of your time, and let's say you've gone through 2, 3, 4 weeks, and you feel like you have a really good idea of what your normal work week looks like. You understand, okay, here's the most important task. Here's what I need to do. Here are the tasks that someone else could do. Here are the tasks that no one needs to do. We need to just get rid of this. This is the 3 steps I recommend, and honestly shout from the rooftops all the time, because this process, I've gone through it many times over and over myself as an agent, as an agency owner. I still go through this 3-step process on a regular basis because it helps me become more efficient every time I do it. Even if it's only a small efficiency gain, every time I go through this process, it helps me. So, the first step is eliminating. This is the one that gets missed a lot, because a lot of times you find yourself doing something and you just keep doing it out of habit. So if it's not truly important, if it's not something critical, if it's not something that needs to be done or has to be done, an example from my life is reoccurring meetings. So, we've had reoccurring meetings on the calendar before where we just keep kind of meeting, getting together, we're on a Zoom call, and then realizing, what, this meeting isn't actually mission critical. This could be done once a month. This doesn't need to be a reoccurring weekly meeting. So we're going to just eliminate this from the calendar. That's an example of something that I've done personally that made a difference and saved me time. Automation, right? So if it's something that's important and needs to get done, you can't eliminate it, try to automate it. This could be all sorts of different things. You could have automated outreach to your clients. One that my business partner Christian has talked a lot about recently is writing cards to clients. We have an automated service, I believe it's thanks.io, where they are sending mail on an automated schedule on our behalf. And it looks handwritten. I've personally gotten some of these letters. It looks great. And that is something where I don't have to touch it. Christian doesn't have to touch it. No one in the business or in the agency has to touch it. The letters are just going out automatically. So it's something that's important. We couldn't eliminate it. We want to send mail to our existing clients, but we're also not wasting our own time on it. And then finally, if you can't eliminate it or automate it, delegate it. So, something like following up with a client before AEP, doing a hey, I'd like to talk to you, just do a quick check with you on what drugs you're on currently and schedule an appointment for you to talk with an agent in AAP, kind of a pre-AEP check, right? This is something that can take a ton of time. It needs to be done. You might be able to automate some of this process, but most likely you can't automate all of it. So this is a great spot to delegate. And then again, the key point of going through all of this is if you're eliminating some of this, you're automating some of this, you're delegating some of this, you're continuing to chunk away at your own time. You're freeing up your own time. And honestly, everything down to the minute counts. Even if it's just 10 minutes here, 15 minutes here, 20 minutes here, if you start to free yourself up 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 hours a month, and again, going back to, the hourly, right? If you got 10 hours back per month and your time's worth $50 per hour, that is a lot of extra money that you're retaining. If you look at it from a monetary standpoint, right? 10 hours, that's an extra $500 that you're making or you can spend somewhere else of your time. And obviously the more money you're making, the more your time's worth, the more every minute counts. So I already kind of went through the eliminate, automate, delegate. So how much time is wasted on low or no revenue generating activities? Again, going through that accounting of your time will really help you understand this. The loss, again, this is based on that hourly loss that we're talking about. So if your time's worth $50 per hour and you are spending 10 hours per week on activities that don't really generate revenue, now you're losing essentially $2,000 per month. And it adds up. I think the biggest misconception, I kind of already talked about this, but I personally believe that one of the biggest misconceptions is the idea that, oh, it's only going to take me 30 minutes to an hour, I'll just do it myself. That in the moment, that might be true, but it starts to add up over time. And you look at scale over a week, over a month, over a year, you're talking about an incredible amount of time that you're losing out on, which ultimately can be looked at as lost revenue, lost opportunities for you as a business owner, as an agency owner. Now, the same activities, if you were to delegate that 10 hours, instead of doing it yourself, 10 hours per week, 40 hours per month, now, again, let's say you're paying a virtual assistant roughly $10 per hour. At Hire Heroes, that's essentially the average cost. So, at $10 per hour, having a virtual assistant come in, handle these admin tasks, 10 hours per week, 40 hours per month, you're getting that time back. And immediately, based on what your time is worth, you are netting that time as an income back, right? If you're looking at your time as money, these are real numbers, right? The end of the year, you can take what your gross revenue is on your tax return, divide it by 52 weeks, and what your gross output averages per week. This is real. This is an immediate gain you can see by hiring someone to come in and help you with these tasks. So one of at Hire Heroes, there's always this conversation around, well, what if I just hire someone locally, Glenn, versus trying to hire a virtual assistant? Maybe I can just find someone local that can come in and help me. I don't think I need to try to work with someone, online. That seems difficult. I've never done that before. Well, you absolutely can, excuse me, but there is some downsides to that, especially with the way the economy is right now today. First of all, a physical location. Some agents we work with, they don't even have a physical location, right? They're selling insurance out of their home. So if you don't have a physical location, it can be hard to hire someone locally because now you're going to ask them to either work from home or to come work in your home. The cost is typically between 2 and 2.5 times more than what you're going to spend on average per hour working with a virtual assistant. Again, one of our clients at Hire Heroes, I was talking to them and they're talking about their local job market, and they were saying they would really have to put an ad out at about $25 per hour in order to attract the type of talent to come in and do admin level tasks. if McDonald's is paying people $20 per hour and you're trying to get someone that's a quality admin level task and a quality admin to come in and handle these tasks, you're probably going to have to pay at least that or more. The days of being able to pay someone $10, $12 per hour locally, for most markets have gone away. Obviously, there is some kind of region specific math there behind payroll and inflation and cost of living, but locally you're usually paying significantly more. Taxes, again, working with a staffing company, working with a virtual assistant, you don't have to worry about things like payroll taxes. This is just a straight business expense that you can itemize and deduct. Talk to your CPA. That's not tax advice. And scalability, being able to know that you can come back to the well, and if something's working, scale up. Our call center at Lead Heroes is a great example of this. This is a repetitive task where we brought in, a handful of people. It went well. We started adding more people to essentially the same structure, handling the same tasks, and we're able to do it all virtually using virtual assistants. So I believe that working with virtual assistants is a significantly quicker and easier way to scale your staffing than trying to hire locally. Now, how do I train a virtual assistant? So if you were hiring someone brand new for the first time, how do I do this? Well, there's a few different tools and kind of tips I'll go through here. So one of the, just like we're on a Zoom call right now, this is something I'm doing every single day of my work week, is getting in front of the camera, working with my team. Loom is a fantastic tool. You don't have to use Loom, but Loom is, if you don't know what that is, that's essentially a tool that allows you to record yourself and your screen at the same time, or just record your screen. Just literally last night, I was going through an outline for some changes that we're making with our CRM. I spent 10 minutes going through the outline. I'm recording myself. I'm explaining the outline to my team. I finished the Loom video. It was about a 10-minute video. I'm sending them a link to the Loom video. I'm sending them a link to the outline. Now they can look at the outline and listen to exactly what I'm talking about at the same time. This saves me a ton of time, right? If I don't have time to jump on a call with them today, but I can send them this quick video going through it, I'm catching them up to speed when they have time to consume that, to look at that. So Loom is one of my favorite tools I love to work with. Zoom's another great one. Written instructions. A lot of people pass on this one. They think I can just send an email or just send that video. I'm a huge fan of explaining how I want something done in multiple formats. I love sending an employee or a virtual assistant, hey, here's me talking about what I'd like you to do. Here's a short video of it. Or even if we're doing a Zoom call, I'm recording the Zoom call, then I can send them that recording afterwards. I also love to do a written instruction. So SOPs, standard operating procedures. It could be a checklist. It could be a spreadsheet. It could be a PDF, notes, calendar, something where they're having multiple ways of explaining it. Because again, I think sometimes one form of communication might not get you all the way there. So by having multiple forms of communication when you're training someone, I think it helps increase the success rate of what you're training them on. Now, checking and reviewing their work. So this is that scene from Forrest Gump where he's running and he's a kid and he finally gets going and he doesn't have to use his braces anymore. And this is the analogy here is when I hire someone new or if I'm managing someone new, this is essentially like the training wheels, right? I'm going to be micromanaging them for a very short period of time. Let's say it's 3, 4, 5 days, 6 days a week, whether that's my own time micromanaging them or a manager's time, someone else in my company. Then once I see that success, once I feel like, okay, we got them hired, we brought them in, their first week went really well, they seem to really be kind of picking it up. Now I can slowly start to scale back my time and kind of take the training wheels off, or my manager can scale back their time. and kind of let that person run. Obviously, nobody wants to be or should need to be micromanaged long term, but this is something where I think in the short term, obviously there's benefits to this, because the goal is to hire this person and make them successful, right? You don't want to waste time bringing someone in and then immediately losing them and having to go back to the well. So investing some of your time and your energy into making sure that it's working with this person is important. And then meetings, I talked about reoccurring meetings. So I think, whatever the schedule looks like based on the employee and based on the task. I have meetings that will be sometimes once a month, once a week. I've had times where I'm doing a daily meeting with a team or with an employee because it's something that's really mission critical. So I'm getting on with them every single day, making sure we're on task, we're staying on track. So this is a great way to make sure that, again, communication is clear and everyone's on the same page. It's very easy for people to kind of miss each other. I can, again, first can tell you, after doing this for 10 years, there's times where I've been doing a project, whether it's like a software development project that we have going on, or something like a lead marketing campaign, etc. There's times where I thought we were all on the same page, and then a week goes by and we get into a meeting together and I'm like, this is not what I thought was going on. I thought we were doing something completely different. So communication is key. If you didn't already pick up on that, communication is super important, and having recurring daily, weekly, monthly meetings is a great way to make sure everyone is communicating efficiently and correctly. And creating milestones as well. So, I also like when I do have a meeting with someone, I love to be like, hey, okay, this is where we're at right now. This is where I want to be next week. This is where I want to be next month. And then, so kind of setting goals. Everyone understands where we're at now and where we're trying to go. Again, trying to all stay on the same page, the same path. Now, here's a big one at Hire Heroes that we get all the time. Glenn, what can a virtual assistant do? Can a virtual assistant sell insurance for me? And if they can't sell insurance for me, why do I actually want to hire them? Right? That's the type of questions I've gotten many times over at Hire Heroes, at Lead Heroes. And it's a valid question, because if you don't know what a virtual assistant can do for you, it's probably not the right time to hire them. But what I'm here to tell you today is a virtual assistant can do a huge amount of what you are probably already spending your time doing. And we're going to get into some of the specifics here. So at hireheroes.com, right at the top there, if you enter your email, we'll actually send you a list of 100 tasks that a virtual assistant can do to help scale your business. A lot of stuff that we're using virtual assistants personally for. So if you want that task list, you can jump over to hireheroes.com and grab that. An analogy here when it comes to tasks, and you're thinking about, well, what can an assistant or a virtual assistant really do to help me with my agency, with my business? If they can't sell insurance, what's the point? Well, an analogy I love to explain, as an example that I think helps agents understand how valuable their time is look at how a doctor runs their practice. If you call your doctor, do you ever get them on the phone? No, right? They never answer the phone. It's never them. It's the front desk person. Maybe a nurse will pick up the phone, but it's never going to be the doctor. And why is that? Because the doctor is clearly the most valuable person at the practice, right? Their time is worth more than anyone else in that office. So their time is being protected by other people who have been hired to work at the office. So, you have the front desk person. They're checking people in, they're managing the doctor's calendar. They're making sure that if there's any customer service related issues, right? People calling back in, hey, I never got my prescription, blah, blah, blah. The front desk person's handling all that, right? Digital filing, paperwork. That's a great example of admin level tasks, low level tasks that the doctor can't possibly waste his time on or her time on. Now you have another great example is the nurse. Once you get checked in and you go back, before you actually get a chance to meet with the doctor, typically you have a nurse or like a physician's assistant who's going to go through and they're taking your vitals, they're checking in to figure out exactly what's wrong, and going through your medical history with you. Again, this is saving the doctor time. The doctor doesn't have time to get that deep with all of his patients that day, or her time with all of her patients that day. So, you should think about running your agency in the same way that a doctor is running their practice. You can protect your time and just save your time, save yourself for the highest revenue generating activity. What is that for a doctor? The highest revenue generating activity is for the doctor to come in, meet with you, quickly go through what information he's already got gathered by his team, and make a diagnosis, offer a solution. Hey, you need surgery. You're going to have to come back next month. Hey, here's a prescription. Go pick it up. Take it every day for the next week. You should be good. Hey, I'm not exactly sure what's going on. Let me do some research. I want you to come back in a few days. That's what the doctor's most valuable time is spent doing the actual practicing of medicine with you. If the doctor was spent time answering his phone, trying to manage his own calendar, trying to do all of that backstory with every patient, he's not going to be able to help as many people as he could in a normal day. And there's no reason why, as an agent or as an agency owner, you can't be doing the same thing. You can literally copy this. This is what, in my opinion, it's all about. This is what staffing is all about, is protecting your time and helping you generate an ROI on other people's time, leveraging other people's time. So here's the 3 most common roles. So, I talked about that 100 task list. So, there's so many different tasks individually we can get into. But what I found really helps, especially if you've never hired someone before, is to think about it in more of a role. What could someone come in, and then what are the tasks that role can handle for you and as an agent? So administrative assistant, manage your email inbox, right? This is a big one, right? I get probably between the different company emails, hundreds and hundreds of emails a day. There's no way I could possibly do what I need to do and stay on top of all my emails between the companies in one day. There's just no it's physically possible at this point. So having multiple admin assistants come in and being able to stay on top of my email for me is huge. Super important. Handling inbound, outbound phone calls. Again, same thing. I might be in meetings for half the day and I would be missing a ton of phone calls of people calling in if I didn't have an admin assistant set up to answer my phone. And again, a virtual assistant can do this using VoIP technology, voice over internet protocol. There are tons of different software solutions. One of the most common ones we work with is RingCentral. Many of you on this call right now might have RingCentral. Anything where the phone is essentially connected to the internet, the virtual assistant should be able to log in and be able to start answering those calls on your behalf. Hi, you reached Tony Holland's office. I'm his admin assistant. Whatever title you specifically want to give, like personal assistant, executive assistant, whatever title you want to give this person. He's unavailable right now, but I'd love to take a message, or I'd love to schedule an appointment for you. And then being able to still, again, you're giving that person a better experience by having them actually talk to someone versus just hitting your voicemail. I know a lot of agents out there still to this day they have nobody. If it's not them answering the phone, the calls aren't being answered. The calls are going to voicemail. Maybe they're out of town and nobody knows that. And these calls are just hitting voicemail. It sounds crazy to say this, but this is happening every day. Every day. Calls are going to voicemail. No one's getting returned calls. Mrs. Jones has a claims question. Nobody's getting back to her. So having someone answer your phone, this was the number one thing from day one for me, is having someone manage my phone for me. I was spending 15 to 20 hours a week on the phone, not generating revenue. That was the key task. The key hire for me was an admin assistant to manage my phone. And then calendar, right? I kind of already touched on that one. Now, support staff. So, as your agency grows or as your business grows, you're going to have more and more of these admin tasks that might fall outside of what an admin assistant or a personal assistant's doing for you. Stuff like data entry, CRM management, bookkeeping kind of becomes an operations role. Support staff, operations staff. This could also be another. I'll give you another example. Is to get to 300 employees, there's obviously a lot of management layered in between there. At Lead Heroes, as an example, I'll just give you a quick breakdown. We have the caller, the person that's actually calling to set appointments or generate leads for an agent. That's kind of the biggest base of the pyramid here, right? Is that first row of employees. Then above that, we have the team leaders, right? So that's the management. And then we have so many team leaders that we have the executive management that helps me manage the team leaders and helps manage the callers. And then I'm at the top because, again, that's the only way that I can manage all of these people. I can't personally manage 300 people. I had to structure it in a way where I can work with a team that can then help manage my bigger team. And that's how that can help me grow. So, support staff, operations staff, these are the roles that can really help you take off and grow. Some of the behind the scenes stuff, some of the stuff that's maybe not being seen on a day-to-day basis. Social media, here's a big one, you guys. Again, this is something that I personally was not great at staying on top of as an individual. Making sure that all of my different social media platforms and accounts were being managed. Business pages, chats, and communications. If I'm having content posted, which a virtual assistant can help you with, but a lot of times my recommendation is you're the one generating the content, or you're the one overseeing the content. But the virtual assistant can come in and make sure the content you're creating is getting posted on time. It is getting posted on all platforms. They can monitor all the communication coming on those posts. They can monitor all the chats between all of the different social media platforms. They can manage your business pages. We have a virtual assistant who helps us with our paid ad accounts. They can monitor paid ad accounts, make sure the ads are working correctly. They can give you the stats on the fly. If an ad gets rejected for whatever reason, they can let you know. Stuff like that is invaluable because it can be difficult to be actually in on everything all the time. So when you have a direct report like that and someone can come back to you or message you and be like, hey, something's wrong here, we need to look at this, helped my business grow tremendously, having someone help on the social media side like that. So more tasks, again, a lot of these were pulled from the 100 task list over at hireheroes.com. So, talked about managing other employees, graphic design, landing page creation, email marketing, client retention, client referral tracking, customer reviews management, making sure that your clients are leaving you reviews where you want them to, prescription doctor search. That's a huge one for you guys. On the Medicare side, they can do the research and then pass that off to you. Again, think about the nurse, right? They're doing some of the research, they're handing that off to the doctor and saving you a ton of time. Event planning, travel arrangements, policy tracking. So let's get into some of the quickly here. I know we're getting towards the top of the hour. Some of the common mistakes working with a virtual assistant. So I've talked about communication a ton already. I've had an agent before where they basically said nothing to their virtual assistant and they were under the impression that this person could just read their mind and do what they wanted them to do. That is not how this works. If you want a successful relationship with a virtual assistant or any employee, you need to have incredible communication. You need to over communicate. You need to really explain what you need them to do, you want them to do. SOPs are a big one. Standard operating procedures. If this happens, do this. If this happens, do this. If this happens, do this. Having that kind of ingrained where everyone's on the same page, it allows you to really remove yourself from the situation and the virtual assistant or your employee knows what to do. Taking that time to train them and be patient. Sometimes it takes time for them to understand exactly how you want it done and what you want done. And depending on the size and scale of the task, it might take more time to train them. Something simple like data entry probably shouldn't take long at all, but some something like, hey, I want you to set appointments for me, and this is how I want you to manage my calendar, and here's all the different rebuttals and getting into all of these things. Here's and I need you to ask them about their prescription drugs. I want you to do a little bit of research. I want you to add that to the CRM. If you start to really build out their task list, it can take some time to train them to exactly how you want them to be, but ultimately they'll get there. If you're just patient, you put in the time and effort, they will get where you want them to go. Trust me. Not fully utilizing their time. So, if you're paying someone to, be on payroll, you're paying them hourly, and then they're just sitting there not doing anything because you don't have anything for them to do, obviously that's a waste for everybody. So making sure that you're fully utilizing their time is huge. The 80% rule. So this is, again, the mindset of an agent, and I've been trapped in this myself personally, thinking I have to do it because I'm the only one that can do it as good as anyone can. If I delegate this to someone, they won't be able to do it as good as me. For me, early on, this was appointment setting. Hiring an appointment setter, I'm like, man, I was the best appointment setter I knew. I'd been setting appointments for years. I could really feel people out over the phone. I kind of knew what the situation was. I could kind of really understand how serious their intent was. But then what I learned is, even though they're not as good as me, they're not going to be doing this to the level that I'm doing this. Even if they're 80%, that's fantastic, because that's saving me an incredible amount of time and energy. So think about that when you're delegating something, or if you're worried about, well, they can't do it as good as me. If it's even 80% as good as you doing it yourself, that's a huge win. And you should take that every day, all day. So kind of wanted to wrap up here with some Q&A if we have time for any questions. I know we're just a few minutes from the top of the hour, but a quote that I saw that I loved is, if you don't have an assistant, you are the assistant. And this goes back to the admin level tasks and the hours. Again, as an agent myself, I was wasting tons of my own time every week on assistant tasks, things that I should have never been doing. And if you don't have an assistant, you don't have an employee, and you're trying to do everything yourself, then you are the assistant. Then you are the $10 an hour employee. So again, appreciate everybody's time. Appreciate everyone who watched all the way to the end. And if we have any time here for Q&A, if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop those in the chat.
Fantastic, Glenn. Thank you so much for going through that. That was way more detailed than I thought. I thought it was going to be like, this is what I do. Anybody want to talk about it? And then like 3 slides later. That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Did you see my notes on the calendar invitation? Because this is exactly what I was asking for.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I was making comments during your presentation in the chat. I don't see any questions directly to me or to the whole group. I have one I just put in there, though.
Yeah.
I'll play devil's advocate here. Why is Hire Heroes better than finding somebody through Fiverr? I'm guessing Fiverr like I do.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's all sorts of ways you can find people on your own. You could go to Fiverr, Upwork. I've heard people posting on Craigslist to hire a virtual assistant that way. One of the big things is, again, you're saving yourself time and energy. If you're putting out job listings and you're getting resumes and then you're doing interviews, and you're not sure that maybe you're not even going to take the time to really vet that person. At Hire Heroes, we are pulling people that are vetted and we already have a working relationship with through our Lead Heroes call center. So they're coming in with this baseline knowledge of the insurance industry. They've been vetted. We're doing background checks. We're making sure that this person will be successful. Our success rate when transplanting someone into an agency is well over 90%. So for every 10 virtual assistants we're placing, 90% of them are sticking long term. And when I say long term, typically 12 months or longer. So, that's the headache, though, of if you're trying to go find someone yourself, is you're going to spend a lot of times 2, 3, 4 weeks going through that whole process. If you're looking for a long-term assistant where you're doing job ads, you're doing interviews, you think you found someone, you didn't, you got to go back to the well. And then there's typically no guarantee with those sites where they're not going to just put someone else in place if that person doesn't work out. And at Hire Heroes, that's part of our guarantee is if there's any issue at all with that person, or if you're not happy with them, we're going to put someone else in right away based on the qualifications and kind of what you're looking for.
So Glenn, you're like the online virtual staffing agency. So you'll help vet, you'll do background checks, everything, because that's a big issue for people. I know Cammie asked that question. Can you go quickly in terms of that aspect, and then maybe go over how to get in touch with you and the investment?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So a background check internationally, honestly, very similar to if you're running a background check here. We're looking for criminals, right? We're looking for someone that has a record. So we go through that online background check, and anybody who has anything even remotely concerning on there, we're throwing them out right away. So when we're hiring someone into our companies, I'd say we probably take maybe 30% of our overall applicants, because we try to be pretty picky about who we let in, right? That's kind of the first filter. And then on top of that, we train them internally at Lead Heroes. They're going through we have a content library of training, and then we're getting them on the phone. So, they're vetted, they are trained, we have experience working with them. That's the big thing that allows us to transplant them and be successful. And then how long it takes for you to fully train them to your specific tasks is a variable where it really depends on what you're having them do. If you just
so Glenn, let me jump in there. So you do some general training for your team, for those that use it in this world of insurance. So your staff that you have ready for us are going to have some understanding of the general knowledge of the task, what they're going to be looking to do, and then one of my team members that are on this call, or anyone out there, then will do a more deeper dive specialty training. Correct?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. So, they're not going to know everything you want them to do. Everyone has different software, different tasks, but they will have a baseline knowledge. They will understand the basics of insurance, senior insurance specifically. They'll understand, Google software products like Google Sheets, Google Calendar, Google Docs. Someone asked, can we ask for specific experiences? So the process at Hire Heroes, when you are looking for someone to come in and help you in your business, we have a quick, if you go to hireheroes.com and you click sign up, there's like a 2-minute survey where we're asking, what tasks do you want us to help you with? And what softwares are you wanting us to work with? And then once we get that form from you, we are playing matchmaker at that point. We want to find the best fit for you from the beginning. And then before you actually get started with that virtual assistant, we do about a 15 to 20 minute meet and greet. So, we get this intake from you guys. We're going to our pool of vetted virtual assistants. We pick out who we think is best. We get on a Zoom call. You get to meet your virtual assistant. And if everything seems good, then you can jump in and start working with them. Startup costs.
Great.
So yeah, I see a question here about startup costs. So let's get into the actual cost of it. So if you're looking for a part-time virtual assistant, it starts at $11 per hour. For a full-time virtual assistant, it's $10 per hour. And then if you're paying quarterly, or you're paying for 480 hours or more, you can get that down to $9 per hour. So the way this works, I think about it like a bucket of hours. So whether you're paying for 80 hours, which is the minimum, or if you're paying for 480 hours to get that discount down to $9 per hour, it's a giant bucket of hours. And then based on how you set up your schedule with your virtual assistant, you'll see that deduct on a daily basis. We have our Hire Heroes platform where you have a wallet. It shows you how many hours you paid for in your wallet, and then you see the hours deduct as they're working. The Hire Heroes platform's great. It actually will even show you screenshots from their computer as they're working, which, transparency is huge. So we want to make sure that they're working, you see what they're working on. You can chat with them right there through the Hire Heroes platform. Fiverr got started back in the day as a $5 to do a task. I was just on Fiverr the other day looking around, it's changed completely over the years. A lot of inflation, I think, has hit everybody, but depending on the task and what you're looking for, it could be anywhere from, you know, $10 to $100, depending on what it is. But again, this is we're trying to put someone in that's a long-term assistant for you guys. A lot of these websites are designed to handle like a one-off project or a one-task solution. We're looking at bringing in someone who can truly be a valuable employee. Like right now, we're approaching our goal of 100 virtual assistants in agents and agencies, all working with agencies all across the U.S. And like I said before, I mean, we have an incredibly high retention because this is a long-term relationship, right? We want you to work with your virtual assistant, not just for this random project next week. We want you to have them, all year long for potentially years, so that way you can continue to get your time back. They can work with your office based on your hours. So again, some people are like, hey, I just want someone to work 3 hours per day between this time window. That's kind of specific to your schedule. So it could be part-time based on your hours. It could be full-time, but it's completely based on what you guys are looking for.
So we're clear, Glenn, because most of your assistants are probably going to be in the Philippines, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. They're 10 hours behind?
Yeah, so they're typically working about 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. their time. It's graveyard shift.
Got it.
This is something that's culturally very normal. Just the same way here stateside, we have people in the hospitals working graveyards. It's really that same idea where they're typically doing it every day for decades. They're very used to it. So that's not something you have to worry about. They can work on your time zone.
So and you have a manager that manages the team. So if there's a challenge with one of the assistants, you'll have, let's say they're not working or they're not getting the task done, they're making too many mistakes. I mean, you have someone we could call, our team can call and say, hey, we got, Diane's just not getting it done. And then you'll replace them.
Yeah, absolutely. So our administrator at Hire Heroes, her name is Nikki. She's been doing a wonderful job for us. So she helps play that matchmaker. So when you go to hireheroes.com, you click sign up, fill out that 2-minute questionnaire. That goes directly to Nikki. Obviously, I'm involved as well as much as needed. But then she's not only helping facilitate that onboarding process, she is also part of the ongoing management too. So checking in consistently, not only with you, but also making sure that the virtual assistant understands what they're supposed to be doing and kind of facilitating this process. We want to make this as clean and simple for you guys as possible. From a hiring, onboarding, training standpoint, the time, my estimation from doing this before, if you just go out and you try to hire someone, it a lot of times can be a 4 or 6 week ramp.
So you're going to get us the quality people because they got to meet your standards, and then you guys will hand them off to our team. That'll have additional standards, and if there's a challenge, you'll replace them. So great stuff. So I like the list because everything you said is what I love about what you guys do versus Fiverr and onlinejobs.ph. I'm sure you guys have heard of them too.
Yeah.
You guys have industry specific type people because you're from the industry. You understand what the needs are, whether it's someone to set appointments. Really what I think our people need is someone just to do their own back office stuff, whether it's contracting agents, entering in their information to Zoho, our CRM system. All that stuff is $20, $25 an hour work that you guys can get someone to do for $9 to $10 an hour. It's a no-brainer. And that way, our team leaders on this call can focus on training, which is a high value, recruiting, doing the events, and let their staff take care of your staff take care of the calls and the mundane work. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So $400 a week, let's say $400 a week, you can get a full-time person that normally would cost in the United States about $1,000 to $1,200 a week. You're getting it for $400 a week. That that $400 a week is going to probably put $4,000 back into your pocket on a weekly basis, because you're going to be focused on the high value areas of running your agency.
That's it. There's one more question I want to answer here, Tony, really fast. So, bilingual services, speaking in the Philippines. So this is a very common question that comes up all the time. Glenn, what does the accent sound like if I'm working with someone out of the Philippines? So with the Philippines, culturally, they're one of the closest Asia-specific countries to the United States. So English is spoken there a lot of times as a first language. Part of our screening process is making sure that they are conversationally fluent. So now, again, with that 2-minute intake questionnaire, you guys, if this is something that you are specifically looking for phone work, we're going to try to find someone who's really good at phone work. If you're looking for someone to do more back office data entry, we're going to look for someone who's doing a lot more data entry already. So we can, again, kind of customize this based on their current skills. But
Glenn, they do speak Spanish, and I mean that was Spanish.
We also have Spanish speakers available as well.
Got it.
Yes, based on your needs, absolutely.
English and Spanish, because we have a very vast bilingual team. So thank you. Let's do this, because I know we're well atop the hour. I know Michael and Kathy have a few more things. I'm going to tell you something, Glenn. I'm excited. My team better start using it, because I'm going to be checking on them. They got to do it. It's a must do, because ultimately my job as your team leader and managing partner here at Integrity is make you guys more proficient and put more money back into your pocket. I think the times are done with you changing your own oil. You need to be using Jiffy Lube. That's kind of my analogy with this. There's no reason why you're changing your own oil, which could take you hours, even if you can get it done at all. The frustration behind it. Most of us here love selling. Most of us here love recruiting. We love training. Let's focus on the fun part, the high value part, the stuff that makes you $5,000 to $10,000 an hour, and not focus on the $25 an hour. And Glenn just showed you how to get it for as low as $9 an hour. To free up that time to be doing more things you love to do, and also free up more time to be spending with your family. Who had time to be doing data entry and entering your cells in a Zoho, or follow up with your agents to make sure they're putting their information in Zoho? Your personal assistant can do all that. And I'm going to tell you this. I know some of the top players in this industry, all of them, all the top 7-figure agents and agency directors out there, they all have assistants, and most of them are virtual assistants. I can name tons of them out there. They're all using people out of the Philippines for the most part. For the obvious reasons, they do speak English, they do speak Spanish, and you're going to get a high valued person that has skill sets that match someone that makes $50,000-$60,000 an hour, $50,000 to $60,000 a year. You can get for $10,000-$15,000 a year. It's a no brainer. And I think we need to break out of that mode of trying to do everything yourself and hand off the low value, mundane activities. Start with one that's part-time, then go to 2 or 3 or 4 and take it from there. Then my goal is to see you guys have someone take care of setting your appointments, setting your events, have someone doing all your data entry. At the beginning, just use one to do all that. But sooner or later, as you grow your agency where you're doing, $5, $6, $10 million a year in revenue, you can hire more people. But just one person, one assistant could transform your business. It really can. So, Glenn, how can they reach you? Because that's going to be my next question. How can they reach you to take this little doc? Because I know there's several in this car going to make the move because they get it. They're entrepreneurs, they're business owners, they're trying to get to the next level. Many in this call are integrity partners that want to grow to the next level. Some of them are trying to become integrity partners. How can they reach you?
So a couple different ways. So obviously, guys, hireheroes.com is one of the quickest ways you can get in contact either with myself or Nikki. If you head over there, you can sign up, you can fill out that 2-minute intake form, and then we can get an understanding of what you're looking for help with specifically. I put in the chat, so Nikki's email, and again, I work out of that email as well, info@hireheroes.com. So if you are looking to get started, or you have questions, or you want to schedule a call with me, you want to schedule a call with Nikki, you want to start this process, start looking at getting someone in. Maybe you realize how much you need help. Maybe you need 2 or 3 virtual assistants. We can talk to you about that. So send an email over to info@hireheroes.com or head over to hireheroes.com. That is the best way to facilitate communication.
Michael, can you chat that, please? Thank you. Glenn, I want to thank you, my friend. Appreciate
yes, thank you, Tony.
You've grown so much, and I just really admire what you've accomplished since 2015. Because I can remember John Gordine introduced me to you way back when, and it's amazing how time flies. And I'm just impressed with you and Christian Brindle have done. By the way, Christian is going to be speaking next Friday on the 4th for us. He's also an Integrity Partner, which is really exciting for us. And just love seeing you young guys, bringing in the technology to help us old timers, get caught up with the times to help us get over that. I was like, when you were talking, I'm like, damn, I wish I would have had that 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It's like, even 20 years ago would have made my life so much easier. It's like you said, just hiring someone locally. I can remember my first hire, Ann Jones, back in the day. This is 25 years ago. She was an executive assistant for the May company. I mean, back then, just to get someone like that, you're spending $50,000-$60,000, which is close to $100,000 now. That was my first hire. And it was like, I could have got that for, 60 to 70% less if I would have had what you had back then. So and then of course I grew a big staff. My biggest staff at one time, Glenn, was over 50 employees, which is a lot of payroll, a lot of W-2s, a lot of challenges. You got to have a HR person that managed all the nonsense. You guys could have done all that for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Glenn. We'll let you go. Can you guys do me a favor? Give some woohoos and high fives to Glenn.
Thank you.
Was this awesome or what?
Good job.
Yes.
Yeah, great job.
Thank you, you guys. And again, just reach out, shoot an email over. Would love to, answer any other questions you guys have or help out those who are looking for help as quickly as we can. So again, thanks, Tony. Thank you, Michael, for having me on. And I hope you guys have a wonderful Friday and a great weekend.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
One of the best meetings of the year. Thank you so much, Glenn. Michael, I know we're going to do the final 5 real quick. So I know you have some things you want to share. Go ahead, Michael. Mike, back to you guys. Hang in there with us.
We had a great event this week down in Texas. I'd love for them to just share their feedback on how it went, what they did, and why it worked for them.
And who are they, Michael?
Dennis and Cammie down in Texas, running things.
Yeah, they're getting it going now, man. They got that fire. They're getting it going.
Love it.
Yeah, Cammie, I'll start if you will. I'll just do a quick setup, and I'd love to hear Cammie's thoughts and the actual numbers will be great. So we've done this last year. We did it at Dave & Buster's. So like most of us, we didn't have to pay for anything, right? So we leveraged our partners. We had Cigna, Centerwell, GTL, and then Cammie and I spoke. Overall, went very well. We felt like maybe spring break, we didn't get the attendance that we normally do because we usually have pretty good attendance. But overall, went very well. But I'll let Cammie go further with that on the numbers.
Sure.
Cammie, you there? Is that okay?
Yeah, I'm here. Yep, I'm here.
Okay.
So
thanks.
we had 19 people show up. We had 38 RSVPs, 19 people show up, so about half. And I called all of them and spoke with quite a few of them after. Some of them had to leave. It said brunch and learn instead of lunch and learn on the event. So they weren't expecting to stay until 2 p.m. So a few of them had afternoon appointments that they had to get to, but I kind of walked out, chatted with them before they left. Four of the agents who were there requested that we send them contracting links, which I've sent out to them. We had 2 agents two people who are not yet agents, but this is the way they're going to go. Once they do get licensed, they're looking to take their tests next month and in May. And then lastly, we had one other gal who just got licensed last month, and she's very excited to get started too. She has 2 young kids, so just needs a little bit of time to kind of digest the whole insurance industry and is really excited to get started. So right now 4, and then after 2 get licensed, it will be 6. And after this last gal kind of gets her legs under her, it will be 7 from this 19 people who showed up.
And that costs you, well, a couple $100? Oh, $0?
$0, yeah.
$0. Mm-hmm. Got it. Wow. From one day also.
Just start time. And then the follow-up, the people that did not attend, we have 5 appointments scheduled. One for
Dennis, you're entering the twilight zone there.
Myself to follow up and getting to know each other, seeing what kind of business.
I caught most of that, I think. You were going in and out. So it sounds like you have another 5 appointments from those who RSVP but didn't show up. And that might be another 5 recruits right there. So your 7 might turn into 12.
Yeah, so we've been touching base with obviously the ones that didn't show up, RSVPs, like you said, and we have 5 scheduled appointments to talk with them and see how we could partner and talk about the business growth, what they're looking for.
Fabulous. I love it. And we talked about your future events, how to make them more affordable and more streamlined, and doing webinars and stuff like that. So that's awesome. Kudos to you guys. That's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very cool. So a couple other reminders on upcoming events and things of that nature. You guys should know our campaigns and our promotions. This should be the millionth time you've seen it. I do have this slide here. I'm going to add it to the website and tweak that, the Leadership and Compliance Summit page, so it's a little more accommodating there. But this is the current qualification period from January of this year to December of this year. Next year's trip is going to be off the chain at the Baja Mar Nassau Resort. It's a Rosewood 5-star. It's very cool. I encourage you to check out their website. Very elegant, very nice. I think that's kind of a teaser of how their resort's going to be. Please follow Tony on social. It's not because we need more followers. We have 40-some thousand of them. I'm saying you should be following his sales tips and his updates and things of that nature, but also you can mirror and mimic that for your own social media. You guys should be doing that. Looking at next week, Monday, we're going to skip our meeting. It's the last day of OEP. I think that makes sense. Give everyone the most amount of time to close out strong. Wednesday and Thursday, we'll have our regularly scheduled programming, as well as Friday, we'll have Christian Brindle as our guest speaker in the leadership meeting. Future events and guest speakers, take a snapshot of this. It's a lot. We're doing a better job. Tony, I appreciate you doing the legwork here. We're getting guest speakers and we're putting things in play far in advance to have you guys ensure that your people are there. Please take a snapshot. I'll put this up, in our future meetings and stuff, but please just take a snapshot of this. This is a note from compliance. We had a staff admin meeting here at Global this week. Please, I don't want to sound like I'm asking a favor. It almost feels like I am. Please make sure you and your people are reading your emails. I know it's obnoxious. I know myself, technically I'm a licensed agent, but I don't sell. I get about 100 emails a day by myself. Can't imagine what you guys are going through and having to deal with that. But I get about 100, and I don't miss a lot. I very rarely miss something, but I'm plugged into a computer 8 hours straight or almost that. You guys driving to appointments and your agents trying to get certified and all this stuff, they're missing stuff in their emails. Largely termination notices, RFIs, CTMs, commission updates. Like, this is a non-negotiable. If you're going to be in leadership, you can't miss emails yourselves, but of course, encourage your people to do so as well.
Maybe so I'm going to jump in there. It's a frustrating thing that we're dealing with, that people aren't answering emails. We had several hundred people lose their renewals because they're not answering their emails, and that's something we can do about it. You don't. I feel bad for those people. When you get a dozen emails about recertifying and you're losing, we had someone lose close to $50,000 a year in renewals. They don't care. There's nothing they can do. After a dozen emails, we call, we email, and we text, and we got people that got terminated because they didn't answer questions regarding a complaint. And one of them was an agency director that's on this call. And we had to fight to get that reinstated for you. We just don't have the time to do that for you. You have to read your emails, and your people need to read it. It's unacceptable. I know it's a lot, but you need to do that. So it's unfortunate that we got some people that lost serious amount of renewal money. And it's like, we saw the email threads. We saw it. It's like, what else is the carrier supposed to do? What else are we supposed to do? And it's amazing how many people, when it affects their bottom line, I'm like, you couldn't take 5 minutes to read your emails to go that you're missing a module and now you're going to lose your renewals. And then they want to do an appeal to get it back. There's no appeal on that. There's nothing. There's nothing you can do about it. It's lost revenue, and that goes directly to the carrier. We don't get it. Integrity doesn't get it. And there's nothing legally you can do about it. So guys, please make sure you and your agents, I can't stress that enough, please read your emails. Okay. Aetna's and stuff. We're seeing them having frustration. Humana is brought it to attention. Some of you guys are not answering emails, and they're terminating people. Some people haven't renewed their license in certain states, and you're getting emails. We're seeing what's being sent to you. You guys have to read your emails. Okay. You have to do that, please. Anything else, Michael, on that?
I think you said it better. If the agent loses the money, then the upline does too. So do we. So does Integrity. The carrier just comes out on top. They're not doing it on purpose, but guys, I mean, a basic functionality in this business is staying abreast of the communications sent directly to a person.
Almost 100 agents lose their renewals. 100. Now, some of them was only $5,000, but $5,000 a year in renewals. I mean, that's a car payment, Anyway, so we've pressed that enough, but please make sure you read your emails.
Let's end on a positive improvement here. Is Kathy still on? I know we went way long.
Kathy, you got to put yourself.
I know. Give me one second. All right. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, first of all, I want to thank everyone for really stepping up on the referrals. That's fantastic. Appreciate it. But I wanted to get out to everyone a new updated referral fee agreement as per legal. And this, I sent it to the managers in the upline. So if you could share with your downlines, it is a 6-page referral agreement. And on the last page is where I really want everyone to take note. On page 6, this is what we need to fill out. It's the name of the qualified agent that was referred, then the agent that actually referred them. And then I have a list there where I actually set up a format there so everyone can list the carriers, the customers, enrollments, and then the effective dates. And this will help us expedite us reconciling and verifying that this is valid and solidified, and then we could process this for payment for the $1,000 referral fee that is in the contract. Any other questions, feel free to give me a call. Keep up the great work.
Thanks, Kathy. I put a comment in the chat. I get a lot of people, some people on this call, but sometimes it's just agents, whatever. I get a lot of people calling me directly, asking about co-ops and did they qualify for a trip, or hey, how do I get this bonus, or I referred somebody and oh, my commissions are short, all that kind of stuff. That is all Kathy Holland. That's all, well, Kathy and Derek, I should say, but that's all not me. I'm happy to help whenever I can. You guys know that. I'm always trying to figure out how I can put myself in somewhere to help, but that's just got nothing to do with me. There's no help I can provide there. So please go directly to Kathy to expedite your request. Okay. If you need her phone number or email, let us know. Can get that to you pretty easily. Tony, you want to bring us home?
Yeah, great meeting. I know it went way longer than our normal meetings, but I thought it was one of the best meetings of the year. What you guys think? You can unmute.
I thought it was great. Just what's needed.
Yeah, Glenn was great.
Well, I highly recommend you use him. He's a good guy. He's honest. They know what they're doing. He became a legend in the lead generation industry with Lead Heroes. I have no doubt you guys will be very satisfied, because if not, I know him personally. And I know Christian Brindle, who's an Integrity partner. They're going to make it right, because ultimately they need you guys to be successful because they're part of the Integrity brand and family. So this is going to be huge, huge, huge. And I highly recommend your high-producing agents to jump on that as well. Michael, why don't we reach out to Glenn in maybe another few weeks or so? Let's do one for the agents so they can tap into Glenn and what he offers. But closing things out, really appreciate each and every one of you guys. We've had a record-setting start the new year. As you guys probably learned, we were up 136% increase this year since January 1 to the end of February, start of March. We're number 3 ranked out of 300 partners, and that's because of you guys, your hard work, your dedication. I know it's not been easy. If it was easy, everybody could do it. But I'm telling you, we're putting everyone on the right path to where you need to be to have your best year ever. And it's exciting to see what Eric Allen's doing and John, and now I see what Dennis is doing and Tammy and Dave Lewis and Fred and Eddie Velez. I want to see the rest of you guys really take it to the next level. If we as a whole were up 136%, we should have everybody up over 136%. And that's my objective, because ultimately your all success is our success, integrity success. We all win together. Don't forget why we're in this business as team leaders. We want to change and save people's lives by providing them the opportunity to achieve their dreams. The agents need our help. They need our leadership. They need our guidance, especially with the job market where it is now. People are getting laid off. Every single morning, I get a news release about more companies laying people off. It's not just the federal government. There's companies laying people off. What a great opportunity for them. They can be in the business that they'll never worry about money again. Once they put that first year or two into this, especially in the Medicare, the renewals alone would take care of their best basic needs. And to me, that's what we're here to do, is this to change and save people's lives in the career opportunity. I mean, there's agents out there, there's people out there working at dead-end jobs that have kids. There's single moms out there, single dads out there. There's a struggling blue-collar family out there that's just sick and tired of being sick and tired. Let's give them the opportunity of a lifetime so they can reap the rewards of this amazing business, which has created more millionaires than any other business. So I want to appreciate you guys. May God continue to bless you. Happy Friday, and enjoy the final days of OEP. Let's kick butt and take names. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Talk to you soon. Thank you.